Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. I am getting ready to make breakfast. I work tonight and I've kind of decided with my YouTube videos, I'm just going to, they're essentially vlogs, and I'm sorry if some of the stuff I show is very repeat. My life is not that exciting, but sometimes there's a new little thing in each video that I love to share with you guys, especially if it's a new haul or something I found or something I want to share. I'm going to share it with you. Yesterday, we were at my cousin's house. He has a pond, so Kaiser swam all day long. He's very tired at this point. It's only 10 a.m. On the days that I sleep in, I typically work nights. I'll be awake for about 4 hours and then I'm gonna go back to bed. My routine switches all the time, but this is just what I've been doing recently and I really enjoyed it. So I have a pretty set day. I got Home Chef meals last week, so I have that tonight and it's a quick one. I'm so happy about that. Don't have to worry about dinner. Making a really quick middle day meal, which is typically what I do. I'll eat around 10 to 1 and then we call that my first meal, and then I eat again later at night. So I'm gonna take you guys through all of that today and show you a few fun things that's going on. My kitchen is kind of a mess, as you can see. Got all this moving stuff. I actually packed up this box. This is the first box I've packed. I have a packing list, and some of my tips that I've read off of Pinterest are to pack things like by week. So week 4 is kind of your getting ready, like get a mover down, all that stuff, and I have not actually done that. I can't decide if I'm gonna do movers or if I'm just gonna do a U-Haul again. I hate moving so much, but sometimes it's better to save money than to hire movers. I've never hired movers, but I don't know, we'll see the kind of crew I can get together on that day, because moving furniture just makes me want to pull my hair out. But so this week, my focus, I've gone through so many things in the house, like getting rid of things. My next project, and I think I'm gonna do some today, is to go through house stuff, because my vibe has kind of changed, and that's okay. Your vibe changes every couple years or whatever. My egg whites are starting to get a little crispy, so I'll go over there. But go through house stuff and donate or take it to Goodwill or stuff, etc. This is what we got going on first. This pan is going to also go to Goodwill because it doesn't sit right. I'm gonna do a little bit of salt on the egg whites, and then we're gonna do a little bit of pepper as well, just so these are a little bit seasoned. And then I want some red pepper flakes, so hang on. Always adding red pepper to everything. This is the same thing I made in my last video. Hopefully that video got up, but you just kind of mess with it, and then we will put the top on here shortly. Oh, and it's sticking. This is awesome. Okay, great. So this didn't really work out, but that's okay. We're gonna still eat it. I'll show you guys my toppings in a second. Also drinking a strawberry sparkling water. Delicious. This is from Walmart. I love them. I'm gonna do these again, the guacamole salsa and the sriracha on top of it. And I'm gonna eat this really quick because I'm starving, and then we will talk about laundry. Putting away all of the things. I had to take everything out of the dishwasher yesterday and put it to dry in the sink because our sink looks gross. I'm so sorry. But because it was so wet in the dishwasher. Do you ever have that? It drives me nuts, and I can't put stuff away until it's dry. So we're gonna put stuff away. I knew something I wanted to share in this video for sure was, not this, this is my portable speaker. This is my portable charger, which I've talked about this a few times, but I got this in the mail yesterday. This is my 3rd JBL speaker. This is actually the JBL Flip 5. I have had the Flip 4 for years. I got it when I was in college. I want to say when I was a sophomore. I love this little mini speaker. If you're in the market for a good speaker that is loud, like loud, I highly recommend this one. So this is actually the first time I've had the 5, but this is the most updated version. It's waterproof, super loud, has 12 hours of playtime, party boost, which means you can combine speakers if there's multiple JBLs. I got mine on Amazon, and it's little, super cute. I definitely will and always have brought this on trips. I have a few trips planned, and it's just great. It's little and handy. The reason this is my 3rd is because I have dropped my other 2 into the river, so I really need to stop bringing my JBL. It's waterproof, so I'm always like, yeah, it'll be fine in my kayak, but I always flip my kayak, and the JBL is the one thing I always lose. I don't know if it's just a curse I'm on or what, but I love this speaker so much. I can't really tell you how loud it is, like show it because copyright reasons, but definitely recommend if you're in the market for a speaker. Tons of colors. It was only $100. Really, 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 really good. And then the other thing I was gonna show, and this could be different by the time this video goes live, should be fine. I got a thermometer. If you guys know, obviously COVID, I had, luckily before COVID began, I was sick in January and February. I really want to get the antibody testing done, but that's a different story. I was sick in January and February, and I had a mini little temperature probe thing that I bought, but this is actually, I wanted a good one. I'm a nurse. I'm gonna have kids one day. Might as well get one. This is an electric one. This actually is for forehead, so you can go forehead to temple, or you can pull off the top, or you can pull it off and do your ear. It was only, I think, $45 on Amazon. Just a really good find. This is like a nurse find. There you go. Just a really little good find if you're in the market for one. Obviously, times are different. You know, you want to have stuff like this on hand in case you needed to check your temperature, which I actually frequently have to check mine because of nursing. We can't come to the hospital if we have a temp over 100. So I just got one that made it easier instead of constantly washing the mouth one. So just a little fun thing. They have them in stock on Amazon. Okay, it is approximately 2:20 now. I should be sleeping. I just actually finished uploading or editing this YouTube video, and I'm gonna go upstairs and lay in bed and watch it so I can sleep. And after I sleep, it will be time to probably take Kaiser on a walk. He's still passed out. And then I will make dinner, pack my lunch, and head off to work. So that is our day. I just woke up from my nap. I think I slept for maybe 30 minutes. Kaiser actually came upstairs and laid down with me some more. He needs to nap some more. But right now I'm gonna make a home chef meal. I talked about that I had gotten a couple. I had a couple for the week. So this is from last week's menu, but I just put the chicken in the freezer and they stay great. So if that happens to you, they're still great to use a few days after. I'm gonna do this one right here. We're gonna do grill ready because I don't want to spend a ton of time. This bun's not as cute as it was before, but I specifically like to order the ones that don't take very much time at all. So grill ready, oven ready, grill ready, oven ready. I think there's a crock pot one, 15 minutes. I like the ones that are fast. I don't have tons of time. I don't like to make dinner or spend hours before, especially a night shift. I want food now, and this is gonna take honestly like 2 steps. You have the chicken to grill, and then you have the veggies that'll also go on the grill. Make sure you read all the directions before you do the meal. That's a big recommendation. You can pick, you can choose. They have tons of different options. For example, I will switch out a lot of the time chicken for like a pork or beef because I prefer chicken over red meats. That's just me personally, but you can do lots of different options on there. And if you're looking to be a more carb conscious, this one is a bit more carb conscious. There's only 393 calories in this meal, so you can totally just adjust it to whatever your lifestyle is. You can pause weeks, you can skip weeks. I've been talking about this for literal almost years now. It's one of my favorite things. You can always switch your meal days around and stuff like that, and I will continue using this as well when I move because I don't want to cook every single night. So let's make some food. But I really haven't eaten anything since I showed you guys what I had earlier. So I'm gonna eat some cottage cheese while we are making this, getting everything prepped and ready to go. And then we will pack some dinner for night shift. If you are not team cottage cheese, you should really try cottage cheese because it's so full of protein, so good, decently filling too. Snacking. Okay, this is a perfect example of the grill ready, which is so great. They come with these little bags, and I'm gonna just put the green beans in there with the demi glace and the cream cheese and shake it up, and then we just throw that on the grill. That's how easy that is. I'm so sorry for the hair. I'm really not. But here is my chicken and my green beans in the little grill bag, and that seasoning is for the other side of the chicken. That just took me less than 5 minutes to get ready. Only took me more because I'm filming, but we're gonna go downstairs and grill this, and I will show you guys the finished product. Kaisi, what you doing? Here is my end product. I actually chopped up the chicken because that's how I'm gonna eat it, and then I did a ton of green beans with the goat cheese, and it looks phenomenal. I'm gonna eat this and get ready for work. But as always, Home Chef does hook me up with a deal for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Try it out. You can honestly make any of these meals work for your lifestyle. I am going to eat, oh my gosh, look at this goat cheese, you guys. If you know me, you know that I love goat cheese. So we're gonna go in here. Oh, are you gonna eat your dinner? He has dinner too. You gonna eat? All right. Dinner tonight, this is my new lunchbox. I have not shown this in a YouTube video yet. I got this from Home Goods. The brand is Cool to Go. I know people are gonna ask. This was the only one there, so I don't know if it was special or what, but I really, really like it. It's so cute. It has the cactuses, and who doesn't love llamas? And it also has this handle, which I really, really liked it for because my hydro jug sleeves do, so I can just throw all this over my shoulder when going into work. And I love that. And I also enjoy this because I can stand my drinks up. So if I have a protein shake or this, I can stand it straight up in there. I really like that as well. But so in my lunchbox, I just have a Cool Pack. I have some Mio in here in case I want that. I have Hydrate in here in case I want that to refill up on my water. And then I have some raspberry lemon verb bars, lemon raspberry verb bars in there. I always have one of these. This is kind of how my night routine has been going. I will get to work. I will do my stuff, pass on my meds, my assessments, maybe have something get in my way between that time, but if things run smoothly, I typically can have a snack around 10:30, 11:30 is typically when I want my first snack. I'll go and grab Gushers because I need like a burst of sugar after I was just moving a lot, and this lemon raspberry verb bar, and I'll kind of eat these within the hour when it's 12:30, and then I will grab my 3D energy drink typically, and my cheese stick. Normally that's what I do. I'll grab both of those and turkey sticks. I've talked that I don't have any turkey sticks right now. I don't want to talk about it, but that's normally what I'll do. And then after about a couple hours, and it also just depends on the night. If I have a really sick patient and stuff's going on, I probably won't eat until like 3 o'clock or 2:30. But then I will have, and I'll also take my grapes and have those really quick before I go back out to the floor. And then I have I'll actually go and like sit and eat this because this is just something you have to go sit and make. This isn't a quick grab, so I'll actually sit down and I just do a Laughing Cow cheese wedge on these rice cakes, and then I will throw tuna on top and eat that. And that's basically all I eat on nights. It's honestly just very dependent on how the night is going. Sometimes I'm hungrier. Sometimes I don't eat any of this. That's actually really rare that that happens, but I had to have had a really crazy evening for me to not eat anything. But sometimes I'm not hungry, and if that normally happens, it's probably my first night on because I'm still in, you know, normal day life mode, and I just can't get myself to eat. So yeah, that is what we are going to bring. I'm gonna have some caffeine here shortly. We'll drink a whole hydro jug throughout the night, hopefully, and I also will probably bring this. I don't know, actually, we'll see, but. Okay, I know this is a weird position and you really only get to see my hands, but this is the best view I have. I'm going to show you guys how I set up my nursing sheets. This is very dependent. So some people call these brain sheets. I call them my worksheets. Every hospital does things differently. My sheets are actually laid out like this, and what I do and what I have is this whole top section is actually printed off and already laid out for me. So we always have, I use Epic, so that I'll just write that here. The programming we use is Epic. So up here is gonna be my patient's name, you know, their demographics, all that. And then in this next column, we have a little summary of why they're admitted. So I have an admit date here. I have a previous medical history right here. And then below that, all the basic things, like we have their vital signs, so if they have Q8 vitals. I have their team over here. We have teams. They're going to be team A, B, C, D, D1, D2, hospitalists, MAPS, whatever team they are. Sorry, my handwriting's so sloppy. I'm trying to do this quickly. All of that's going to be over here for me. And then, like I said, I have the reason they're here, their previous medical history, what they have for vitals. Are they Q4? Are they Q8s? That's typically what we do. How do they get up? So that is going to be right here for me. Their activity. Are they up ad lib? Are they up ad lib? Are they standby assist? Are they assist of ×1, ×2? Do they use a Serosteti? Do they use the Hoyer? You know, whatever that's going to be is going to be right here. next down. And this can be messed up. Normally these two are always right at the top, and then each nurse kind of fills this out for the patients. So that's going to be right there. And then next below that is going to be their diet status. Are they NPO? Are they on a thin liquids? You know, are they on nectar? Whatever. Are they mechanical soft? Whatever their diet is going to be right there. And then the next thing would probably be, typically, is we have a PIV, that's peripheral IV, and it will normally be whatever their line of access, whatever their access points are. So, for example, let's just say they have a left forearm 20 gauge and it's running TKO antibiotics. That's what I'll write. That's how that would appear right there. It'd be running left forearm 20 gauge TKO antibiotics, and then they have a right forearm 22 gauge LR at 100 an hour. That's typically how this looks. So this is what my brain sheet looks like. This is already all going to be printed in the screen. So we just go into Epic and we go up here and we click this little button and it will print out for us. So this is going to be already printed. And then over here is typically DC comments, or what we like to call the charge comments, DC comments, charge nurse, basically. This is just kind of a summary of, you know, what's happening with them, what's the plan. A lot of times there'll be this column and then another column that kind of gives a play-by-play, and I obviously can't fill that in because it's different for every patient. But normally what we like to do, what's today, whatever, let's just say that it's, we'll just go into June. Let's say that it's 6/1. We would, you know, kind of list what happened with them that day, and then over here all the way up to discharge, it's just a tiny little mini summary. So for example, let's say on 6/1 they had blood cultures ×3 taken. They had a temp of 39. That's just little small tidbits to kind of give a little timeline for the nurse coming on to understand what's been going on. And then maybe here they had a chest x-ray, they had an MRI, whatever happened that day. Let's say here they went to the OR for, I don't know what's wrong with this patient. I don't even know. They went to the OR for a, I don't know. They went to the OR this day. And then on the next day, they're going to, let's say, here's something else, and then 6/5, maybe this says DC. And then I always do a line down here like this because it's not for sure. We never know. But this is what my sheets will look like, and this is already typed up and printed. This is just an example to show you of what it looks like in Epic. So the actual way that I line up my sheets is I will have this up here. Sometimes it will take up an entire page. If this is a really sick, there's a lot going on with this patient, you know, this is the basic of the basic. I mean, normally, lots of times there'll be a lot of other things, like other things that could be in this column, for example, would be continuous pulse ox, their O2 status, you know, are they on oxygen? Do they have tube feedings? So that would be listed in this column as well. You know, what's it running? Is it, trying to think of a tube feeding off the top of my head. I can't even think. Nepro, let's say they have Nepro. Continuous, whatever, that would be in this column as well. Things like if they were blind or if they were deaf would also be listed here just for the RN with a little sticker point. These are just things that are in the chart that give us a good idea. So when you do print off these sheets, these are obviously confidential. They always need to be flipped or with you at all times because obviously it's a violation of HIPAA if somebody were to ever see them. So this is just a prime example. Again, it can be very different, very extensive. It can be really short for an easier patient, or if the patient is super sick, it can take up my entire sheet, and sometimes I have to flip to the back. But this is what I'll do, is so each patient will have their own sheet, and this is what it looks like. Now, when I come on and I'm setting up my sheets, I'm sitting here, I'm going through, I'm looking at things I look at when I'm sitting there getting ready to get report. I normally get to work less than 10 minutes early, so I come on at 7. I probably get there and start looking at my charts at 6:50, but I do look at all of these things. I just go fast. So first thing I'm gonna look at is their labs. I wanna know what these look like. Let's just put this here. I don't write this on my sheet. I might write down some pertinent labs over here if I need to, but this is just an example to tell you guys what I look up, but I'll show you how I line up my sheet in a second. So I'm looking at labs. I wanna know their vital signs in the last 24 hours. I don't know what that was supposed to be, last 24 hours. I want to know their vital signs in the last 24 hours. Have they had any temps? Have they had any
high blood pressures, low blood pressures? Are they soft? Are they high? Have they been treated? I'm looking at those things quickly. And those are questions you can just jot down. So if you see a high pressure, I'll just jot it down just to ask the nurse. And, you know, if she says something about it, which he or she probably will, but I just like to, you know, ask, because if you come on and a pressure is, you know, 70/40 and you don't see any pressures after that, you want to know if it was treated or what the situation was, because a lot of times, obviously they know about it and, you know, something happened with it, but you just want to know. Labs, vital signs. I always look at their diet status and I write that down quick. And I always look at the team. I'm at a big hospital, so I want to know who I'm going to be paging. And I normally will write that right up here. I want to know who I'm going to be paging at night. And what else? I look in the meds and I normally write my meds. My meds will actually go over here at this column. I have an empty column over here where I write my meds down, and I'll show you guys that in a second. I'm looking with meds, I'm looking for drips. If I have drips such as like a heparin drip or a Lasix drip or a PCA, I'm looking at stuff like that. I need to know those things because those are things you're going to need to double verify with another nurse before you leave. Again, this stuff takes less than a minute for each patient once you get really good and fast. I remember I used to get to work 20 minutes early because I would take the genuine time to look at these things, but once you've been doing it for a little while, you do genuinely get better and faster. So those are the main things I'm looking for really, really quickly. And then if I have the time and I've kind of briefly checked and there's nothing super out of the ordinary with the patient, I will line up my sheets. And sometimes I can do this before my shift starts. Sometimes I do this when I'm still talking to the nurse who's giving a report to me and I'm just listening to her. But a lot of times, if I'm good, I'll get it done first, but if not, I will, once I get report and I have seen all of my patients, 4 to 5 typically, I will go ahead and get this set up so I'm ready to do this, and when I'm ready to chart, I'm ready to go. So ignore this. This isn't normally here. This stuff is all perfectly aligned, but this is what I do to line up my sheets. First thing that I write out that I like to do is, this is how I keep track of what I need to chart for each patient. So I will go here for A. A is assessment. Assessment is going to be the head to toe. That is going to be your neuros, your GI, your urinary, your cardiac, everything. That is, you have charted a full assessment and that is done. That's for my assessment, and all I would do when I'm done is do a check mark. And then the next thing is education. This is going to be the education section in Epic, where you go in and you talk about what did you educate your patient on, and, you know, what did they learn? Did they learn? Do they need more learning? That kind of thing. Once I've done that, I will check that off. My next column is going to be C. That's going to be for care plan. Did I fill out their care plan? Did I check them off, go through? Once I've done that, I will check off this column. So that's my AEC. My next column is going to be for pain. I actually write out pain, and what I like to do is 8, 12, and 4. We do Q4 checks for pain. You are to go in and, you know, if the patient's sleeping, that's what you chart, or if they're awake, you ask them how their pain is every 4 hours. Also on top of this, you need to think about rechecks, things like your POS with IV meds. That also counts in this as checking. I don't write that out, I just kind of know because it actually alerts in Epic for me, but you need to recheck your POS, and then there's pain rechecks. So if you gave a pain med and it wasn't on this time, so I won't actually go in and chart these if I gave a pain med, because the pain med itself will, like, you have to fill that out when you're giving a pain med. But if I did not give pain meds, I will deliberately chart these Q4, but if I did and it's right around the 8 o'clock or the midnight or the 4 a.m., then that's what I'm going to use, and you'll do an hour recheck after that. So lots of pain charting if you're giving pain meds, but if you're not and they don't have pain, these are really, really easy to check off, but I'll just check them off as I go. The next one is going to be IV. We do chart on our IVs every 4 as well. If they are infusing, they're going to, what I'll do is I'll actually write this out, and then I'll look and be like, oh, that's another thing I look for is continuous fluids in the meds, because I have made mistakes before where I have not realized they've been on NS and I didn't have them on it all night. So I always look for continuous meds. If they are continuously infusing, I will do this. I'll do 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, because that's my entire shift, and I'll just check them off to make sure that I go in and chart infusing, locked, whatever's going on. But if they are infusing, you want to chart on them every 2 hours. So I'll just, again, go through and chart them out. So I have my assessment, education, care plan, pain, IV, and then my last column over here is going to be my INOs. So that's what I like to do is we chart on our INOs. I don't even know the exact times. I kind of do it when I do it, but that's when I go in and I clear my IV pump. And once I've done that and I have their meds charted for the night, and, you know, I kind of know what's going on, now I will make a little X here. And then the other X I make is once I have looked at, you know, my NA has charted their actual Is and Os. So that would be what they're intaking, what their output is, all of that. And I make sure that I double check at that because that's important and you want to make sure that you have that in your chart. I know this looks really messy, but I'm actually really freaking neat and I have highlighters and do this, so I will show you guys a pretty version of this. But then over here in this next column, this normally wouldn't be here, but we'll just go over here for this, is I have their vitals. I am the nurse who writes down the vitals. I do that because I like to see what they were to give report. And it's difficult for me to keep track of them if I'm not going in and looking at them. So I started doing this a while ago, and if they're, let's say that they're Q8. So if they're Q8, I automatically will just write a 12 a.m. slot because that's the next time on night shift they'll get done. But if they are Q4, I will do an 8, 12, and a 4, and I will write out their vital signs. And that has helped me so much because I actually, RNAs do our vitals, so, and not all the time, we have to primary the pod sometimes too, but the nursing assistant does do our vitals at my hospital, and if I write them down, that reminds me to go and check them. And you know, if the NA forgot to remind me that they have a temp of 39 or a blood pressure of 180 over whatever, like those are things I need to be aware of. It's my responsibility, and if I miss those and don't see them hours later, it bites you in the ass and you obviously didn't check on your patient like you should have. So I just began writing them down, and it's just in my routine now, is every night at 8 p.m. I'm looking for those vitals. I always check before. If they have a heart med or a blood pressure med, I always will either do the pulse and the blood pressure myself, or I will check with the NA and see what it was and write it down, because you want to make sure you know what those things are before you give those meds. And then same thing with midnight and 4 a.m. Just get in a habit of at midnight or whenever you do your, you know, your pain and your IV assessment and stuff, you know what your vitals are so you can relay those to the nurse, or if you need to tell the doctor and page, you know what they are. So that's that column. And then over here I have either, oh, another thing in this column is ACHS if they have blood sugars. That's another thing that will be over there just to remind you. So if I have blood sugars, another one would be neuro checks. This is so messy, I'm so sorry. It doesn't actually look like this. But so then after I have this column, and then typically this would be right here. I'd have my vital signs, and then the next column to the right would be if they are ACHS. I go like this and I will do PM1. That's their blood sugar. At night, I will go back and look. Normally they've had that taken and they've eaten their dinner, but I want to know what it is. PM2 is going to be their bedtime sugar, and I will write that down. And then I will also write AM sugar. That will be taken in the morning with their breakfast. If I get to take that, great. If not, whatever, but I like to know what they are so I can relay those to the nurse coming on. It's just nice to know. So let's say their sugar was 212, I slid them 2 units, and then their bedtime sugar, if they had blood or insulin to give, let's say it was 186 and I slid them 1 unit, and then in the morning I know what it is so I can tell that to the nurse just to have an idea of a trend. And then if they had neuro checks, I would put that underneath here. Another thing that would be in here is AWS, which is alcohol withdrawal scale. I would put my neuro checks below the ACHS, so I would have an 8 p.m., a 12 if they're Q4 neuros. If they're Q6, whatever that is, that would go there. Let's say they're also a alcoholic and they're withdrawing. I would also have an 8 p.m., a 12, and a 4 here, and I would write down what their score was. So let's say they're really withdrawing and their score was an 8, and I gave them, let's say 2 milligrams of Ativan. It might actually be 3 milligrams, but let's say that that's what I gave. I like to keep track of that because you do need to know how much Ativan you're giving in a 24-hour period. So that's something I would put over here. And then my next column, which isn't gonna fit, is going to be my to-do column. So this is gonna be, what do I need to do throughout the night? What's missing? What wasn't completed during the day? You know, what's going on? What do I need to do? Things like 4 a.m. labs, if they have a pick, that's gonna go right here. I have my 4 a.m. labs column. It's just a reminder, and normally I will highlight it. Actually, I'll do that last. I'll show you guys what I highlight. 4 a.m. labs column is there. And then let's say that I need to change their tube feeding. I will have that there in a little box just to remind me. I'm all about lists and checking things off. Labs, tube feeding, let's say that I need to get, a sodium at midnight, or write that down, or let's say I need to get a Vanc trough at, sometimes these troughs are so weird, I can't spell trough, sorry. Let's say that I need to get that at 6 a.m. Sometimes AM Lab will get, or they'll let you get those with AM Labs, but sometimes pharmacy is really specific and they want them at that time because it's a timed lab. Write that down. Other things to do would be, you know, document your wounds, wound changes. There's so many different things. I would put PCA checks here. Actually, that would also go over in this column, PCA checks, stuff like that. So it looks really, really messy, but this is kind of what my sheet looks like. And I will highlight, definitely on my to-do list, I like to highlight things like 4 a.m. labs is so important that you don't want to forget that. Getting your sodium lab is important. You don't want to miss that. Another thing that I commonly write in this column is MPO at midnight, and that is also highlighted. I want that highlighted because you want to make sure that you go in their room and you remove their fluids so that they don't have anything in there if they forget. Sometimes patients forget and they will accidentally drink something or whatever. This is just a reminder for you to put a sign up on their door and, you know, make sure that they are MPO. So I don't know if that's helpful at all. This is just what's worked for me. Everybody does things differently, but this is kind of what most of the nurses on our unit do, is everybody prints off this top portion. Some people will print it vertically like this and they'll actually just have all of them. Some people don't write as much as I do, but this is just what I have found is comfortable for me and I like. It's a good way to give report. It's a good way to really truly know what's going on with your patient. And then sometimes when I have more room down here, because normally this is over here and this is over here and I actually have more space down here, but this is for teaching purposes, I will write out kind of a little summary over here of what's going on with the patient, what's the plan, what are we doing, and, you know, if I have any other further questions or whatever to ask the docs, or, you know, pass on to day shift in the morning. That's kind of how that works. Those are the things that I like to do. Definitely, I always highlight my diet. If they are on a continuous pulse ox, I like to know that. Blind, deaf, whatever, if they have something specific about them. I don't highlight that. Sometimes I'll highlight the team. It just kind of depends. If they're in restraints, that'll be up here. If they're in the more I talk about this, there's so many things you need to know. It's not even funny, but it's taken me so long to kind of get comfortable with a sheet like this and kind of time management and knowing what to do. But I promise it will never get easier. You will simply get better. So keep that in mind. I don't know if this helped at all, but this is kind of what my sheet looks like for a night shift. I'm gonna end this portion of the video here. I'm gonna go to work and I will possibly film more tomorrow. I'm not sure what else is gonna be in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.
When you were leaving, I need you even more than I did before. You had the last word when you walked out the door. You drive me crazy, I want you to stay.